Adanté, listen, I wanted to get into that piece as to whether or not it really helps the prosecution in the case. And this is the thing, when I was a homicide prosecutor, a lot of times this evidence could have a whipsaw effect. But let's put that aside right now. Let's talk about what Rule 404 says. You cannot use it for character assassination. I'm going to add one other comment that was brought out by the prosecutor, that she wasn't aware of all of this fraud at the time that he was confronted on the day of the murders. So if I were prosecuting this and I were going to get 404 out, I would do it about the conversation that occurred on the day of the murder. Now we're talking about things they didn't find out till months and months later, and then trying to connect that to motive. And I can see an appellate court saying, you know what? The court should have limited, we'll say it was admissible, but limited the scope of this evidence. What are your thoughts?
Exactly. I think this has presented a ripe opportunity for Murdaugh and his team, appellate team, to try to challenge whatever conviction comes of this. This is damaging, punishing evidence. The cadence, the repetition at which the prosecution did this time after time again, allowing the witness to say, he stole it. We had to pay it. We didn't know. This was fraud, fake account. That's punishing. And I can only imagine how much Murdaugh is sweating underneath that blazer as he had to sit there and listen to that evidence.
I got to be honest with you. Put Matt's point together with yours. I don't think that they're that overwhelmed by it. I think that they're kind of happy that there's an appellate issue being created here, because the prosecutor, eventually a court's going to say it's like radiation. Eventually, it's just too much, and the prosecution overstepped its bounds. Just my thoughts. Guys, thanks very much for hanging in there. We're going to be back with more with you and more of this case.